It is July 23rd, 2021. I'm Andy, and this is the Minorcan Mullet Report from the Golden Ray Rec site in the St. Simons Sound. Day 2 of cutting. We made it out today, and the operation is still working along. Some things we picked up as we kind of went around the ship here and took a look. It looks like they still have yet to attach those lifting straps to the wreck. So that same movement that we saw going on yesterday with the VB kind of shifting back and forth depending on which way the cutting chain was being pulled, that's kind of still going on. We didn't really stop to videotape the process because it was had a little bit of a roll out there today, and we didn't think we'd get the quality of video that you folks have come to expect, and we didn't want to disappoint you. So what we did, we just made a quick look here. Again, straps here, not attached, but some things we did pick up, and maybe we've talked about these things in the past. The water cooling, they have seawater that they pump up through a piping system, and it is sprayed down onto the blocks. That's still ongoing. Matter of fact, you can see the wet spot here on the hull where that water is kind of spraying and hitting the hull. It comes out just above the block, and as the block cycles, that water helps to cool that block. I think that's something they've learned in the process that really pays off to kind of keep there's so much tension and it's such a violent action there with the amount of force they put on there. The heat that's generated on the actual blocks itself can greatly shorten the life of it. And so you would think the seawater would do a lot of damage, but apparently the trade-off for the cooling effect is more than the heat. But kind of looking down the throat of it, we can see that the chains are tight. Both of them are tight, and it was a happy day cutting out at the site. The only real progress that we could see, and we got a pretty good still coming up of that, is the chain has actually it has cut through the living quarters, or that part of the ship where you would think the offices and housing galley, right at what would have been the very top of the ship. We could see that the chain has cut through that, and now is kind of up against the decking, if you will, and they're starting to work through that stuff now. Of course, it's very difficult to see what kind of progress has been made at the bottom of the ship, but we understand that the time that the divers put in pre-drilling and the work that they did underneath there to help get that chain started, we understand that's kind of paying off. And here you can see that chain now is right up against that deck, and it's cut through that house. I wanted to show you that picture. But it's progressing, and we're excited about that. It's been a while since we've heard the chain moving, and now here we are. For those of you guys that have participated in the poll, it's day 2. Hey, we did catch a glimpse today of crew change. We were out there at crew change time, and here we see a boatload of the crew guys coming out of the environmental barrier and headed back over to the Epworth Center on St.simons Island after a long day, getting their shift put behind them and headed in on a Friday afternoon. Of course, no weekend for these guys. It's 24 hours a day operation, 7 days a week, and these guys will be back for their shift tomorrow. But caught a glimpse of these guys day in, day out. They're out here getting the job done and trying to get the wreck out of the sound. Our hat is off to these guys. So one thing we did today, we put the drone up, and the barge that they have been putting, those vehicles that they've been collecting from inside the environmental barrier, that you know, every time there's a separation of a section, they lose some of these cars into the water inside the barrier. And then we've seen the claw in action past couple of days, pulling up cars. Actually saw them pulling up a chain yesterday. We caught that, but parts of the deck that fall out. They're over there collecting all this debris, and then they're transferring it over to these hopper barges. And we got a view now. Not all this has come out in the past 2 days. There's been some of this material that has been collected. You can see those containers back there. Those containers were kind of filled with stone, and they were part of an idea to help divert the current around the wreck site, and that they kind of shifted and rolled around out there. Really didn't work out, but something they tried to do early on. Those containers have been collected as they get them, but we can kind of look in here, and some of you car guys and gals that can identify these things, let us know in the comment what you see. What do you see in here? You know, to me, it's scrap, but I know that some of you guys have been pretty successful in just looking at these upside down, turned over, burnt, whatever vehicles, and been able to identify them, which is amazing to me. But then again, the Minorcan Navy is an amazing group. Let us know what you see in the comments in here. And you can see this particular hopper barge, all kinds of small debris that's been collected. So yeah, these guys, they've got a job, and it is an ongoing process while the Golden Ray is leaving the St. Simons Sound in sections. You can really tell that how long some of these cars, not necessarily were in after they fell out, but were in the ship and down in the water. You can see all the marine growth that's on them. Lots of damage. And then, like right in the middle, you see one. There's a red one that looks like it might just need a little buffing, maybe an oil change. I don't know. And some of these cars, I mean, there's just no way you wouldn't even think that any of the parts would be salvageable on them, considering the length of time that they've been underwater. We're sure, you know, after you get them out and get them in the air, the corrosion is just going to take over from being in the salt water. But what a tremendous amount of scrap just from that area. And we see, you know, these hopper barges are open, and you can kind of make out some of the fluid in there. We think that's mainly water that's in the hopper barge as it collects in there from the rain. You know, we had quite a bit of rain in South Georgia. Open barge is going to collect it, and that also tells us that this barge is sealed up and nothing is leaking out of it. You know, this video would not be complete if we didn't get a picture of the claw. And here it is. This is what they've been using out there on the end of the crane to go down in the water and snag these pieces of deck and the vehicles and the other debris that's down on the bottom. That has turned out to be an amazing piece of equipment.
Hey, Minorcan Navy, Captain Andy coming at you from the Minorcan Mullet. I hope you've enjoyed today's show. You know, seeing all those cars on the hopper barge is really interesting, and then knowing where they came from down on the seabed around the wreck makes it even that much more interesting. Hey, we're going to ask you right down there on the lower corner, a link's there to hit the subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done it yet, we're going to ask that you do that. Hit that like button. Give us a thumbs up. Keep on sending the comments. We love to read how you guys are seeing the product we're putting out, and then how the operation's progressing. And most of all, we want you guys to stay safe out there.